Now, how's everyone doing tonight? Well, I'm doing pretty good. I've been very good software developer this week, did a whole bunch of Akka.NET trainings and everything else. And I'm ready to go ahead and celebrate by actually programming something and enjoying a little bit of one of my favorite scotches. So let's go ahead and see what we're drinking tonight. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and pour myself a little bit of the Ardbeg Wee Beastie 5. The Ardbeg's an Islay Scotch, so it's going to have a lot of peat, and it's going to taste a little bit like tar pitch, but it's also going to have some nice caramel elements to it. I like the Wee Beastie because it's one of their youngest, and in particular, it's also, it's also the name of my beloved cat, who I incidentally named after the Scotch. So, all right. Let's go ahead and give this a try. We're going to use a Glencairn glass like a proper Scotch drinker. And we're going to drink it neat, which is how I prefer to enjoy a good whiskey, whether it's a bourbon or a Scotch. Well, the price of that bottle, usually about $40, $45, not super expensive. So, oh good, well I'm glad you like the sound of my microphone better. I think the sound's a lot better too. So, bottoms up, I'm going to go ahead and sip this slowly over the course of our stream tonight. Yep, rich notes of caramel, lots of peat. Tastes a bit like, like tar pitch. It's good. I like it. Everything I'd want in a good Islay. All right. Well, on the menu for tonight, in terms of what we're going to try to address as we start our programming here, we're going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time going over an application I've been building, an internal line of business app for Petabridge, that we're going to build using Pulumi. Pulumi is a immutable infrastructure as a service sort of deployment library. We use it for deploying SDK bin, which is one of our large sort of SaaS projects. It's a commercial marketplace. It's kind of NuGet meets the App Store. We sell our Phobos product through it. So Pulumi is used to help orchestrate our Azure Kubernetes cluster and all of our Azure Kubernetes service and all of our different applications in it. What we're going to try to deploy tonight is a little internal KPI application that uses Influxdb behind the scenes. And we're going to go ahead and use Azure functions to do this. And this is all going to be written using .NET 5. Now, I've already built a little bit of the code inside this application, and I want to go ahead and start by taking a look at that, because so far what I've got is something I can spin up and run inside a Docker container, but there's a couple of little weaknesses with it. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is take a little look at my preview here. Alrighty. And here we go. Let's go ahead and dive into our code base. So we'll go ahead and quit out of this. All right. Now, I mentioned on my stream on Tuesday night when we talked a little bit about developer salaries and comp that we had made a post on Upwork about trying to go ahead and find an ASP.NET Core developer to help us build a JSON web API to expose business KPIs on a Grafana dashboard. What do all these acronyms mean? So a KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. If I want to go ahead and measure the performance of our engineering team, our marketing team, or our sales team, I have to go ahead and set some either daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, or annual type goals. And they can run the gamut from the number of NuGet installs per day of Akka.NET. That would be sort of a net effective measure of our kind of outreach to software developers. Maybe it'd be the number of new deals in our pipeline. Maybe it'd be revenue. There's lots of different figures. What you want to have the ability to do with the KPI system is ultimately you need to be able to take lots of pairs of metrics that may not be related to each other and be able to go ahead and plot them together on the same graph. For instance, does the amount of blog posts I write actually have an impact on the size of our mailing list. So there actually is an impact between those two things. Whenever one of our blog posts gets emailed out, we do generate some new traffic, we get some new signups from it, but we also get some people who unsubscribe, or we get some bounces that purge people off of our mailing list. So there's a trade-off there. Ideally, if our blog posts are, let's say, causing more people to unsubscribe than to get engaged, that might tell us that maybe we need to go ahead and diversify our email list a little bit, where some people don't get every single blog post, which right now everyone on our mailing list does. So that's an example of a type of KPI. And what we're trying to really discover are some business insights about what are some of the metrics that actually drive our business, and what sort of investments do we make in terms of our time and our money that produce results. So we have to have a way of correlating those two together. That's what a KPI system should do. So I went ahead and I originally wrote a detailed, myself and Jennifer, another member of our team, wrote a detailed specification for what our KPI system should do. Long story short, this is a time series data system, is what this is. We want to go ahead and plot a bunch of numbers, maybe several times a day, and we want to be able to go ahead and chart over a really long period of time what the performance was historically. And I break down a whole bunch of the different metrics here that we're interested in, just as an example. Getting some data from MailChimp, our email marketing service, getting some data from NuGet, getting some data from Pipedrive, our customer relationship management system, and so on. So the original way I proposed that we do this was basically exposing a web API that Grafana could interpret using the Grafana JSON plugin. And Grafana is a great tool. We use it internally inside Petabridge for being able to plot the health of our Kubernetes cluster and how well Akka.net's working and that type of thing. But it's also could be used by a non-technical person like one of the people who works in our sales or operations team to kind of get a sense for how well they're doing each quarter. So ultimately, we put these submissions up. We got a lot of applicants. I think we only had shortlisted 4, but we got probably 40 or 50 people who applied for this job. But I got the vibe from a lot of the suggestions that people were sending back to me that they were thinking this project was going to take a lot longer, cost a lot more, and they would also need to spend a lot of time learning a whole bunch of stuff in order to do it. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm not really in the market to spend tens of thousands of dollars building a system whose business value might very well be unknown at the time we developed it. So I'd rather go ahead and do a little proof of concept myself. And lo and behold, in the span of about 4 or 5 hours, I was able to get a functioning proof of concept. And that's what I'll go ahead and pull up now. So I've got a little KPI system that I think I did my last little bit of work on this last Friday. We decided to go ahead and use under the table here, Influxdb. We've used Influxdb in a monitoring context before. So for instance, if I take a look here, we have this petabridge.phobos.web.influxdb. We're using Phobos, which is our proprietary product for doing monitoring in Akka.net. This is going and writing thousands of events per second with real-time performance data and all that stuff out to Influx, and it's using app.metrics behind the scenes to do all this. So I've used Influx from that point of view, which is fairly distant. I'm abstracted from it by 2 layers of separation. I actually had to learn how to work directly with the Influxdb API in this case. And I was very pleasantly surprised by how well it worked. So let me go ahead, close out a whole bunch of these code samples from my training I did earlier today. Let's take a look at this. We're in Visual Studio Code. Let me go ahead and collapse everything down real fast. Let's go ahead and do close all. So what do we have? Well, let's start with, this is a pretty self-contained application. Let's go ahead and start with program.cs. All right. So we have here a headless single process Akka.net application, basically. It's what we've built. So I'm going to go ahead and use the host builder. This is all running on .NET 5. We're going to pull in app settings.json and some environment variables. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of configuration here. I have a couple little static methods I wrote for being able to configure Influx and then some of our email marketing services. So if I take a look here at Influx, I need to be able to pass in via a configuration variable. I should say, I guess this could be an environment variable. This could also very well be, something I define app settings.json. We're using Influx 2.0, and I need to be able to pass in a connection string, a bucket, an organization ID, and a token. And I can go ahead and get all that data from Influx. Next, I need to be able to go ahead and pass in, go back to Akka service here. I need to be able to go ahead and pass in my email configuration. We're going to go ahead and use the official, not official, the MailChimp SDK that some developers have built in .NET. We're going to go ahead and use this to grab some data from MailChimp. This is our email marketing service that we used to use. In fact, as of yesterday, we just migrated off of it. But still, this has all of our historical data in it. And we want to try to retroactively go back and get that data as far back in time as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and basically pass in this MailChimp API key. And I'm going to go ahead and get all that set up. Now next, I'm going to go ahead and take a little look at program.cs again. We have our Akka service right here. This is using a pretty standard pattern. We're going to use Akka.NET behind the scenes, primarily because the way this process is going to work is basically one big scatter gather operation, where we're going to go ahead and fire up a process on a clock. So we're going to be running this as a cron job, maybe once every 4 hours or so. It's going to go ahead and go. And then we're going to go ahead and basically spin up a whole bunch of actors that are going to make queries out to our marketing service. We'll probably go ahead and have some actors query NuGet to get some data from there, do a little bit of page scraping. And we're also going to spin up some actors to talk to other parts of our system like Google Analytics, maybe our CRM, etc. So you're going to see a big burst of actors all start up at once. They're going to go ahead and issue some API calls to these external providers. And as they complete their work, they're going to shut themselves down. And eventually, they're all going to go ahead and reply back to this work coordinator. Well, they're not going to reply back to it. This work coordinator actor is going to be given basically a hash set of actors it has to supervise. As these actors complete their work, they're going to terminate themselves. So what this actor is going to do is when it starts up, it's going to death watch all these actors. And as those actors finish their jobs, we're going to go ahead and remove those actors from our set of actors we're supervising here. And eventually, after all that stuff breaks down, our actor system is going to go ahead and terminate. That'll cause the process to exit, and essentially the cron job will be complete at that point. So ideally, we want to go ahead and run this on like a once every 4 hours or so timer is what we're going for. So I'm going to take another sip of my Scotch here. So that's kind of what I've got running so far. It's all running right now. It's just a local .NET 5 process. And I have a way of going and demoing it, although I'm going to need to grab a MailChimp API key real fast. Let me go ahead and grab that. Let's see. Now, if I take a look at my Docker Compose file, where's that? Should be up in here. Oh no, we're using Kubernetes for all this. I see. Okay. Got it. Okay. So I've got a whole bunch of basically hard-coded values I'm using to spin up my collector. We're going to go ahead and run all this in Kubernetes locally just because that's what I know how to do. One thing. Oh, hey, there we go. Got a new follow. Thank you, HimJ. One of the things I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to create a little Kubernetes secret that I'm going to go ahead and store my MailChimp API key inside of. So what namespace are we using for this? Let me take a look. Namespace.yaml KPI collector. All right. So one thing I'm going to go ahead and do, I didn't mention Kubernetes during tonight's talk, but whatever. We can go ahead and learn a little bit of that too. Let me go ahead and change directories. Go into our Kubernetes folder. We'll go ahead and do namespace.yaml. This will create a brand new KPI collector namespace for me. And if I do kube control here, you'll see my 9-second-old namespace. And if I query what's inside of it, you'll see nothing. All right. That's kind of the standard operating procedure there. Now, I've created secrets from the command line before, but it's been a little while since I've done it. So let me go ahead and take a look at our SDK bin code. This is actual, like, real production Kubernetes application here. But we have some code inside our Kubernetes. Let's see, environments, namespaces, services, local. Here we go. We have a whole bunch of stuff. This is for just like in our development environment, all this stuff that you're seeing right here. So none of these scripts or values actually get used at all anywhere in production. This is what we use for creating like a local test environment inside Kubernetes. So what I want to remember how to do is, let's see, I believe we're going and creating a whole bunch of like default environment variables, and these get turned into secrets down here. Yes, here we go. All right. This is what I wanted to remember how to do. I'm going to go ahead and create a secret that has our MailChimp API key inside of it. Well, yes, I will go ahead and build sources. Thank you. So on my other screen over here, I'm actually grabbing my API key because I have no idea what it is. I stored it as a secret when I was originally developing this, but that worked fine for ASP.NET Core, but I couldn't figure out how to quite get that working for just a standalone console application. All right, API keys. Okay. All right, got it. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and grab that. And let me remember, if I need to, I don't think I need to base64 encode these API keys, but I'll go ahead and double check, because that is something that will come up. So I'll go ahead and create a new screen over on the left here. All right. I'll go ahead and do real similar to this. All right. Actually, you know what? Go ahead, take a new one. Create secret generic. We'll go ahead and call this MailChimp. The namespace for deploying this into was, if I recall correctly, KPI collector namespace. All right, so I'll go ahead and pass that in. KPI collector. Don't need any of this magic. I'll go ahead and say from literal. Call this MailChimp API. All right. That should do it. So I'll go ahead and copy that. And I will go ahead, grab my API key. I'm doing this on the other screen here. And let's see if that goes through. Actually, I need to name it MailChimp API. Okay, it looks like that went through. Now, if I take a look down here, get secrets and API collector. I see that I have my MailChimp secret down here, which is stored as an opaque secret. So to go ahead and map a secret to one of our services, let's take a look here. The syntax you want to go ahead and use for this is all Kubernetes stuff. If I go ahead and do value from, we can go ahead and create a secret key reference like this. So let me go ahead, steal that for a moment. I'll head back over to, oh, guess I got to reopen my KPI application again. Let's open you back up. All right, so let me go into my services. Let's see, name. We'll go ahead and call this, what's the convention again that we're expecting inside of here for MailChimp? That should be, go back to program.cs. We are expecting, should be MailChimp with a lowercase c _ API key. Just like that. That's the convention that the .NET environment variable provider is looking for when we pass in one of these secrets. Okay, so that looks fine to me. Next, whoops, I have a little bit of an error there. Value from secret key ref. Our secret is called MailChimp. And our value down here is MailChimp API key. Okay, I believe that should do it. Now, if there's anything that goes wrong with that, this system should blow up pretty quickly on us. Let's go ahead and do build.command docker. Oops, I'm in the wrong folder. Build docker. Let's go ahead and generate a brand new Docker image in case we don't have one. Good. Take the opportunity to sip on the Scotch here. Can't do too much of this while you're live coding. I actually don't know where that error is coming from because the code actually did do its job. We inject data from our release notes file into the assemblies that we produce, and also sets the assembly version. It even sets the image version, which it did fine in this case. So anyway, it looks like everything's good to go. Let me just make sure we're running the right version, 0.12. All right. So I'll go down here and I'll do Kate's deploy all. All right. And let's see. This should be what? This. Get all N KPI collector. All right. Well, the fact that we completed and restarted could mean that we crashed and everything was effed. Or it could mean that it did its job and the process just exited right away. So let's go ahead and grab some logs from this node and see what's up. Okay, good news. Looks like we passed in our API key correctly, and we're able to go ahead and download and write a whole bunch of data. The data that we are collecting, there's just a little bit of background before we actually start the coding on the new stuff we want to add. This marketing coordinator actor is basically going to go ahead and create a email marketing actor that's going to go ahead and talk to MailChimp. What this actor is going to do is based on the iMailing stat service implementation we have, of which, if I go ahead and do go to definition here, we basically have the MailChimp implementation of this. We have a brand new email marketing service called Omnisend that we just started using today, really. So I'll probably add another implementation for that. We go and we scrape all this data, we pipe the output of all of them to this actor, and as that data gets scraped, if I go here to like get automation performance stats, let's go to implementation. Here's what we do. For all the data we get back from the MailChimp API, we're gonna go ahead and basically normalize all this stuff into a series of tags and fields in Influxdb. So that Influxdb data, Chris, the flavor is Scotch. This is Ardbeg, of course. Ardbeg wee beastie. The gist of all this is that we're going to go ahead and basically write out all this data into Influx. And so, I actually forgot what my password was for Influx. Let me take a look here. Admin 2021 is our default Influx data. And let me take a look at what part of the cluster or what network address that system's actually running on. It's on localhost 8086. All right. So let's give this a try. Host 086. All right. Let's see. This should be admin. Omnisend is the shit. I don't know about that. Just started using it. All right, so I'm logged in. Let's go ahead and take a look at our data. This KPI-DB data is our bucket that we're currently writing all of our output to. So I have down here in my KPI-DB, in terms of different measurements, I've got email automation performance, email campaigns, email subscribers, whatever. Let's go ahead and add email subscribers, total subscribers for Petabridge from the service MailChimp. We'll go ahead and submit that. And we'll see that our number is around 9,507 or so. All right. If I can add another query, let's go ahead and take a look at our email campaigns. Email campaigns. And submit that. Let's see. This email campaigns query, if I'm not mistaken, let's go ahead and do this is past 30 days, is supposed to go ahead and see which campaigns have been sent. So maybe a better metric might be taking a look at our total number of, I don't know, clicks by subscribers unique. Let's take a look at our total clicks. Let's look at that. Yeah, sure. Actually, no, I'll get rid of that. Don't really care about that field. Okay. So I take a look at query 1. It's all about email subscribers. I can see that my data here, let's see. This would be a little bit more interesting if we had multiple days of data. Let's go ahead and customize this. And here. Back out of that actually. Go away. So we can still try to go ahead and expose this in Grafana. Reviewing it if we want. Let's see. But this is basically what we've got. I can see the total number of subscribers, and this data gets more interesting the more data points we actually go and run for it. So that's what we're trying to shoot for. So this is everything running locally, all working in perfect harmony at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little checkout here. Okay, check out the MailChimp Gates secret. Added MailChimp API as a secret. All right. Oh no, can't remember my GPG password. All right, gonna go ahead and push that up. And sure, I'll go ahead and publish that and create a little pull request. All right. We don't have any CI set up yet. That's also on our to-do list for tonight. But this is the status quo. This is where we're at. Now, while I'm here, let me go ahead and destroy my little Kubernetes cluster. Get rid of that. And let's take a look at what we're going to build instead. Since so far we've really talked about is what we already have. So, what we're going to try to build tonight. Let me go ahead and pull up a little mind map. So we have a proof of concept. We know our software works. We can build and extend on it. But operationalizing it and turning it into a piece of production grade software, it's going to require a bunch of extra steps. So, API to production. So first, what do we need? We need a hosting runtime environment. Now, I could go and deploy this directly into a Kubernetes environment, but I don't really want to deploy it into the Kubernetes environment we use for SDK bin. Because that capacity really should be reserved for that service. Plus, this doesn't need to run very often. So I don't need to have a pod scheduled 24/7 hosting this container. I'd rather have this run as like a cron job, per se. So I need a hosting / runtime environment. The choice that I've kind of looked at so far is Azure Functions. Azure Functions is ideal for this use case because it's basically serverless, so you only get paid for what you use. And this job only runs once every 4 hours. That's 6 invocations per day. And if I take a look at the pricing, let's go ahead and take a look at the consumption plan. Let's see, Central US. Let's say pricing by the hour. Okay, total execution time for, let's see, is that bandwidth? Gigabit per second. All right. 20, let's go ahead and say for total executions, let's say, 20 cents per million executions. Well, if I go ahead and calculate, all right, so it's 20 cents per million executions. Well, if I have 6 executions per day, that's right, yeah, per million. All right, how many days will it take for me to get to 1 million executions? Divide that by 6. That will take 166,000 days. So 10,000 days is about 30 years. So I think I'm good. Long story short, from a execution standpoint, the service is basically free. Okay. So I think I'll be in good shape there. Next, in terms of some of the other resources with Azure Functions, if I go ahead and take a look at the product overview, I actually probably need to look at developer documentation rather than marketing here. But the trigger that we want to use for Azure Functions, deploying functions to Kubernetes. Oh, come on, man. That's just marketing. All right. If I go ahead and take a look at triggers and bindings, I want to go ahead and use a scheduled job. So that's going to be running based on a timer. So I can go ahead and create, if I'm not mistaken, a timer trigger that's going to go ahead and just run on a schedule, and I'll have some way of specifying it. So this seems pretty good to me. So what I'd like to ultimately be able to do is, at the moment, go ahead, model my app as Azure Function. Azure Function supports Docker containers, which we already have, so we want to take a look at that. In which case, I might need to go ahead and Azure Container Registry to our bill here. The Azure Container Registries are a little bit more expensive, and I'll basically have to build a build process that'll go ahead and create a new Docker container. We'll push it to the registry, and every time a new image is pushed to that registry, we would go ahead and update our Azure function. That's basically how that would go ahead and work. So we need to go ahead and start with this, model my app as an Azure function. We also need to generate dependencies. These are the other parts of our infrastructure we need to actually go ahead and host our little KPI application. So one thing I need is an Influxdb instance. Influxdb, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Sorry for clicking on your ad, guys. Didn't mean to cost you a couple cents there. Influxdb has a cloud-hosted solution, and if I recall correctly, the utilization for this is pretty tiny. Now, you can end up spending a significant chunk of change on it if you're using it for something like real-time performance monitoring, where you're producing a huge number of writes. So that could end up being a little expensive. However, for our purposes, I think we could just get away with using their sort of per consumption model, because once again, I believe the pricing for this, I go to Azure Marketplace, plans and pricing. All right, $0 per month, but it's a storage of 0.2 of a cent per gigabyte hour. So if I'm using, let's say it maxes out, it basically rounds you up to like the largest gigabyte. So you have 1 gigabyte as sort of a minimum there. Let's go ahead and say, for argument's sake, that's my price. All right. Well, if I go ahead and say, all right, I've got to do 1 gigabyte hour, 24 hours a day, and let's go ahead and say there's 31 days a month just to maximize it. That's $1.50 a month. That's not going to break the bank anytime soon. We can go ahead and afford that. We're not the type of customer that Influxdb is hoping to land with these sorts of cloud offerings, but we'll take advantage of it. So we're going to go ahead and use Influxdb to go ahead and generate this. Let's see. That's one thing we need. Next, we need a place to go ahead and store all of our secrets we're going to use, because we're actually talking about connecting to, yeah, not bad, Himjin. I agree. Next thing we're going to have to go ahead. Cocktail napkin is 720 hours. That's per month, right? Per month, yeah. So we're not talking about a huge amount of change for all this stuff. So far we've been able to keep the service pretty expensive. Now, one other thing we're going to need is an Azure Key Vault. I've worked with Key Vaults quite a bit for a whole bunch of our applications. We actually have another Azure function we run for our company that processes Stripe webhooks whenever you go to the Petabridge website. So if I go to petabridge.com, and if you go to, let's say, live webinar training schedule, and you want to buy one of these, it's going to go ahead and take you to Stripe checkout in just a second. All right, here we go. So if you go to Stripe checkout, you want to buy our training, the actual backend service that registers you automatically for the course and sends you a link to your training email, that's running on an Azure function that I think over the course of its year and a half, or maybe about a calendar year of operating so far, I think it's cost us less than $2. So good bang for the buck on that stuff. So we use an Azure Key Vault in combination with that function because we have to store a couple of Stripe tokens for being able to go ahead and validate who we are with the credit card processor. So there's a couple little bits of information in there. I think we also have some keys for contacting our email marketing service for actually going in and pushing out the email notifications to customers, since this is like a transactional email service. So Azure Key Vault tends to integrate pretty well with a lot of these self-hosted Azure functions. This is a secure way of being able to go ahead and store a whole bunch of, let's say, encrypted secrets. This can include authentication certificates. This can include API tokens, all sorts of other credentials you want to keep secure. This is much more robust than that Kubernetes secret I used to go ahead and store our MailChimp API key. So we're probably going to want to use this to store secrets. Next, in addition to all of these, we're going to need to go ahead and store all this inside a resource group. We want to have a resource group that's going to go ahead and allow me to keep all these resources together as sort of, let's say, one autonomous package on the cloud. That way, in the event that, well, I don't know, we have come up with a better way of doing things, or we're not happy with how this service is working, or we export our data elsewhere, I can go ahead and shut that entire resource group down and stop paying for all those. That's pretty trivial to set up. So then the next thing we got to think about, we've got our hosting and runtime environment. We've got the dependencies we need in the cloud. Next thing we're going to need after this is basically a way of generating infrastructure. So I'm going to go ahead and call this infrastructure. And this is going to include deployment and resource creation. So we're probably going to go ahead and use Pulumi for this stuff. Now, Pulumi, if you've never seen it, is pretty neat. I'll go ahead and pull this up. Pulumi is a way to go ahead and describe cloud infrastructure using code. It works with an enormous number of different platforms. So I've personally used it in developing SDK bin for connecting to Azure Active Directory, Azure DevOps, Azure Cloud itself, working with, let's say, very complicated Kubernetes deployments. And then on top of that, we also use it for managing our CDN with Cloudflare. And it only cost me about, I think, $40 a month to go ahead and run this. And I'm already paying for that. I pay a corporate subscription for my team to be able to access it. And there's no additional price tag on adding more projects. I basically get charged based on the number of seats. And I think the $40, $50 a month plan comes with 5. And there's only like 2 or 3 of us who need access to it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with this. Now, one thing that's different is Pulumi came out with a brand new provider for Azure recently that I don't have very much practice with. So I might have to go ahead and learn how that works as part of this call. I'm used to using the original provider, which targeted Terraform behind the scenes, another infrastructure as code type service. So this is the set of tools that we're going to go ahead and work with here. Oh yeah, last thing I forgot. We got to go ahead and add Azure DevOps. So let me go ahead and save this. Let's see. I'll go ahead and save this in our corporate Dropbox. Let's see. I'll go and save this under the DevOps folder. Yeah, I'll do that. Actually, nope, don't really want to do that. I'll go ahead and save this under, do it under product. And I'll go ahead and call this, create new folder, API system. All right, hopefully that goes through. All right, there we go. All right, and let me find that KPI system. I'm a documentarian, always like saving all my design documents. System 513, 21. All right. Okay. Good stuff. All right. So, first thing we should go ahead and take a look at, in my opinion, is let's go ahead. So, one thing I've thought about doing, by the way, that Pulumi actually has in its documentation. I scroll down. They have a tool called ARM to Pulumi. One thing I don't know how to do is if I set up a custom Influxdb instance, how can I go about actually getting that up and running inside Pulumi? I have no way how to do it. So I have no idea how to do it. So I'm assuming an Azure custom resource might be able to help me there. So my plan for trying to get this up and running was to go ahead and create a Windows Azure resource group first, and then to go ahead and work backwards, generate an ARM template and import that into Pulumi. And then from there, I could go ahead and create and destroy all the infrastructure on the fly if I really need to. So let me go ahead and sign in to Azure real fast. Go into the portal. All right. Let's go ahead and create a resource group. Create a new resource group first. We'll go ahead and do this in South Central United States, where I live. We'll call this KPI development. And I think that should work. We'll go ahead and add some tags: environment, dev, product, API. And I think that should be all right. All right. We'll go and create a little resource group first. That didn't take long. Now let's go ahead. Oh, you started. Oh, so H3, you started your Pulumi projects with ARM and then backported. All right, good. Well, I'm glad I'm going at this the right way. I coded all of our infrastructure for SDK bin going the other way. I actually wrote all of it in Pulumi, and by trial and error built it back up. And that was a lot of work. So let's go ahead and find Influxdb first. Cloud version, that's what I want. Right. Set up and subscribe. No ratings for Influx. Man, people are mean. Help another OSS vendor out, you know? All right. Let's go ahead and create this in my, what was the name of my resource group again? KPI development. And we'll go ahead and call this, my phone number. We'll go ahead and call this, I guess, KPI DB. Usage-based plan, monthly, based on the work performed. Users know how. So this is all done, I think, using Influx's serverless platform. Yeah, I'm fine on adding any tags here. Primary email address, primary phone number. All right, well, these guys are going to want my marketing data. So here goes nothing. I'm trying to remember what my business phone number even is. Here we go. Enjoy that. All right, that should work. Okay, please be nice to my credit card, fellas. My first cold start was with Kubernetes key rotation. Even with the guide video, it was a grunt. Yeah, that sounds pretty terrible. Complete your purchase. Configure your SaaS account on the publisher's website. Oh, man. Okay, well, there's no way we could get that set up via Pulumi. I don't think that would work. All right. Microsoft Azure. Complete purchase. Configure account now. Oh, it's saying my SaaS subscription is in progress. Okay. Well, I won't freak out too much then. Let's go ahead. Go back to our resource group. Okay, now it's there. Great. Oh boy. Okay. I get the feeling this isn't going to be very easy to... that is not at all the right login. Oh boy. Yeah, I want to log in as this guy. Figure account now. Create a login to activate your Microsoft subscription. All right. Is there a way, any possible way I can not let it do that? Okay. All right. Let's try this one more time. We'll try Google. Yes. Choose a region, Amsterdam. Amsterdam or Virginia. Okay, well, I guess I'm not deploying this to South Central US, but so be it. Call this Petabridge. So, hey, no worries. My Influxdb session. Yes, start writing my data. I'll go ahead and add some C#. Don't have any tokens. Aaron's bucket. Well, I'd rather go ahead and create a new bucket. We'll go ahead and call this KPI DB. So bucket, by the way, in a bucket in Influxdb is basically a database that has a retention policy. Because we're doing KPI metrics, we never want to delete this. Whereas if you're doing, let's say, application performance monitoring, you probably don't care about APM data older than 30 days. So we'll go ahead and create that. Aaron's bucket can go bye-bye. And then I'll go ahead and generate a read-write token. I'll scope it to KPI-DB. Yep. That sounds good. Token was created successfully. We'll go ahead and call this KPI. I'll call this KPI collector. Okay. All right, so I can go ahead and copy this token to my clipboard. This should allow me to go ahead and authenticate against my influx data. That looks good. Hopefully no one goes and writes a whole bunch of malicious performance metrics to my InfluxDB system here. All right, so that's looking good. Let me go ahead and refresh this. KPI DB is up and running. Let me go ahead and add next a function app. This is Azure Functions right here. Okie dokie. Function app name. Now, there might be a benefit to doing this without a Docker container. And the big benefit to doing it without a Docker container is I don't have to get an entire Azure container registry service and do a deployment to that. That's the one benefit of it. The one downside of it, if I take a look at Pulumi, let me go ahead and open up the docs, is I have zero idea how to actually go and describe and package a deployment using their Azure reference provider here. So let's see. Let's go to their API reference, Azure. This should be under functions. Functions. Try this. Well, this is looking hopeless. Well, that's no bueno. Maybe this would be under app service. Let's take a look there. Azure Stack, Azure Data. App platform, maybe. Let's look there. App binding certificate, custom domain service. All right. It's like an app such description service. Let's see. Let's take a look here. Oh wait, is this? Let's take a look at the comment here. Azure native app platform module. Get deployment. All right, well, whatever, man. Maybe we'll just use Azure Functions to continuously deploy without using Pulumi to go ahead and specify it. So that's okay. I'll go ahead and try doing this in .NET. It'll only let me use 3.1. Oh, that's no good. I actually need the ability to use .NET 5 for this application. Well, thanks, Microsoft, for not supporting your own technology. So we'll go ahead and use null deploy in East US. We'll go ahead and call this API machine. Yeah, go figure, right? You know, I get people complaining at me about Akka.NET all the time and open source technology about why won't you guys support this native, you know, piece of functionality that's only part of, you know, .NET 6.0 Community Tech Preview Edition 3 or whatever. And I'll be like, well, because we've got a lot of customers that work in healthcare and banks, blah, blah, blah. And they can't support all that. Guess they really want me to create a new storage account too. Create a new storage account. We'll go ahead and call this. All right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and name our storage account after one of our commenters who's been a total pro tonight. We're going to call it the H3 Tech storage account. There we go. Congratulations. What the hell is going on with the pricing here? What's an app service plan versus functions premium? Select consumption. Not supported for selected region and operating system. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. South Central US then it is. Fine. Give that a try. Okay. Consumption. Not supported for selected region and operating system. Bro. What is up with this? Okay. Yeah. All right. You know what? We're going to go ahead and ask our friendlies in Norway if we can go ahead and set it up there. Okay. All right. Fine. We'll do .NET Core 3.1. Consumption serverless. So try North Korea. I don't think they have a North Korean data center, Chris. But you know what? I'm sure for the right price they could. I'm sure they could. All right. Okay. Well, this is depressing. If I do a custom handler, all right. Azure function custom handler. Who would have guessed the hardest part of my night would be actually deploying a functionless application to Azure's platform somehow? With custom handlers, you can use triggers input via extension bundles. Can I do an extension bundle for .NET 5? Let's see. Register Azure Functions binding extension. Azure Function .NET 5 binding extension. All right. .NET isolated process guide for .NET 5. And this has nothing to do with that. Does this have anything to do with Azure Functions? Okay, this article is a guide in C# to develop .NET isolated process functions. Let's see, which run out of process in Azure Functions. Okay. Runs the class library in the same process as the host. Deep integration, host processes, and the function. Let me just double check to see if I can go back to using .NET Core 3.1. Am I using record types anywhere? That would be the only thing that would get in my way. Email metric. I'm pretty sure we are using record types, which means I'm in for a bad time. Son of a bitch. Yes, we are. Okay. New, let's see, Azure App Service archive function application. That's what you're telling me I should look at for being able to go ahead and try to deploy. All right. Man, H3 Tech. This is why we name storage accounts after you. All right. 10 pearls with Azure Functions in Pulumi. Function app deployment. Deploy an existing Azure Functions application using infrastructure as code. My man. All right. Deploy an Azure function. Let's see. 2 lines of JavaScript. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so I can just copy the .NET publish file. All right. .NET isolated process. So I still got to find a way to deal with this .NET 5 thing. Either that or I got to go rewrite all my classes to work in .NET Core 3.1. Would it really be the end of the world if I did rewrite this? Well, I do have 30 references to this class, so maybe. Oh. Yeah, that might be a bit of a problem. Kind of using a lot of .NET 5 functionality here, so that might be a little bit of an issue. Let's see. All right. What's my price? So what's my pricing overhead for running this stupid thing as a Docker container? Where's an app service plan? Is it like $10 a month instead? I've probably wasted more time like looking through the documentation here than what it would probably cost me. All right. We'll go ahead and do an Azure service plan. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call this our Liberate.NET 5 app service plan. Good. Let's see. Now, you want me to pick what SKU? No, sir. No. We will not be doing that. Recommended pricing tiers. Yeah. Sorry, dog. We're going with the El Cheapo tier. This is what you get. All right. And then I promised I would go ahead and name this after H3 Tech. All right. Monitoring. Well, the entire point of this application is monitoring, so I should be able to figure out if it's going to work or not. So no thanks. All right. Tags. Does Azure need PM for project management help? We'll go ahead and say yes. Yes, it does. We'll go ahead and say product. Product will be our KPI system. We'll go ahead and say .NET 5 when? Oh, well, let me do question mark. All right, fine. Now. All right. Then I'll go ahead and do my environment. And this will be development. Okay. Oh, what now? The storage account name H3 Tech is already taken. All right. I'm sorry. Sorry, H3 Tech. We tried. Let me go back. Create new H3 Tech 2. It even told me it was available. Yep. Okay. I think we're good to go now. All right. So this should be up and running. You know, it's the minor indignities of cloud development that just kind of stick in my craw a little bit, you know? All I wanted to do was give my homeboy here or homegirl maybe, I don't know, but I wanted to go ahead and give H3 Tech a little bit of love. The system lied to me, said that it would work, and then it didn't. Also, I'm not going to get my super cheap consumption plan for Azure Functions using a Docker container image, which is apparently the only way to run the most recent version of Microsoft's own platform. Am I bitter? Why, yes, I am, as a matter of fact. Very. All right. Oh, dude, I can tell you some amazing stories about my time working at Microsoft during the heyday of Windows Azure. So you know what? While we're waiting for a little provision to go through, Papa Standard is going to go ahead and sip on his Ardbeg, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the spectacular amount of shit fighting that happened around SQL Azure circa 2011. So while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and also take a look at documentation. Run Docker container as Azure function. Since this is a thing, I'm going to need to figure out how to do. Azure function in a Docker container rather than instantiating one. Okay. Well, that should be interesting. All right. While we're waiting for this to go through. Okay, looks like my app service plan is intact. All right, where's my function app? Here we go. KPI machine. All right. Good. Looks like we're good to go. So while I'm here, let me go ahead and swivel over. Man, Azure, dude. You guys. Not cool. All right. Okay. Where is my KPI service? KPI development. Talk about Revolution Analytics running on SQL. Oh, I've got an even better story. All right. So story time. So I was just but a young buck working at Microsoft in their developer relations department. I was tasked with working with early stage tech companies in Los Angeles. That was my beat, so to speak. So my job was to try to get early stage startups, what we called hypo startups, because Microsoft needs an acronym for everything. Hypo is short for high potential. And so I worked with in companies that were kind of emerging around 2010, 2011. You had, let's say, the very early incarnations of companies like Tinder and so forth were kind of on the horizon as this was all coming on around there. We had Vidi, which was this next big thing, social media app. It was basically TikTok, but a total failure. Raised like $300 million overnight. Yeah, in fact, I'm actually going to pour myself a little bit more Ardbeg for this. So, all sorts of stuff going on. So, there was a lot of stuff in gaming, a lot of stuff in social media, a lot of stuff in kind of mobile technology going on back then. So, I sprayed some of my eye from a custom in the bottle. That stung a little bit. So, one of the companies that I ended up working with was a video gaming shop, and they had developed a lot of mobile games on their own, but they also acquired some from small independent developers. And this one independent developer they had acquired a game from was a guy who I think was like a professional WPF developer. And he had taught himself how to do iOS applications, but he used this big WCF backend running on top of an Azure cloud service. Azure, when it launched, didn't offer any infrastructure as a service options at all, meaning you couldn't provision a virtual machine and a database just for you. Microsoft, in its normal paranoid way, had to manage everything for you. So, the only options you had for really hosting a database were all these multi-tenant options, meaning that you had to go ahead and be co-located on the same hardware as other customers. So SQL Azure was their sort of managed Azure option, still around to this day. We use it at SDKBin. Then they had Azure Table Storage, and that was pretty much it as far as database options. And then they had Azure Cloud Services, which is a way of hosting, IIS and Windows-based like .NET applications in a managed environment where Microsoft managed the VMs, the deployments, the load balancer, all that stuff for you. So this developer had managed to build a pretty successful application. I think it was called Checkers with Friends. It's a checkers game. It's not rocket science. So they had built Checkers with Friends, and they managed to get some serious traction, but they would have in the neighborhood of 10 to 20,000 concurrent users all playing during lunch. And so I get approached by the CTO of this company who's trying to figure out how to solve a scaling problem they're having with SQL Azure. This is 2011, so 10 years ago. And I asked them, okay, what's the problem? And they say, well, we have a database that's about 1.5 gigs in size, so not very big, but it deadlocks and we get these throttling errors constantly during peak hours as people are trying to move their checkers pieces around. And so as a result, the game freezes out, everyone quits, and we can't serve ads. And he goes, I was a .NET developer for a long time, and I never had these sorts of problems with SQL Server, he said. So I ended up, escalating through the bowels of the hierarchy at Microsoft, and eventually we got connected to the Azure CAT. CAT stands for Customer Assistance Team. And so these are like some of the system architects who actually work directly on SQL Azure. And they, with a straight face, recommended to this customer that they shard a 1.5 gigabyte database into 12 logical partitions in order to basically get horizontal scaling on SQL Server. This means instead of running one database for all your workload, you split it across 12, which is normally something you only need to do for like a super high volume system or a really large database in some cases. This is a tiny database trying to serve a pretty menial number of requests. And so there was this like chilling silence on the call from the CTO, and he goes, we'll get back to you. I get an email from him the following day, like less than 24 hours later, saying, hey, we moved all of our infrastructure to rack space on a dedicated VM, solved all of our problems. Thanks. So that was the end of the line for that. That was pretty embarrassing. And that was shortly before Scott Guthrie basically kind of took over. All right. Now with that in mind, let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to go ahead and scale the Azure Functions Core Tools. Or not Core Tools, how we're going to go ahead and get our application up and running inside Azure Functions. So, first thing we need to take a look at. Our Azure Functions Core Tools. I guess I need to go ahead and install this. I might have done this already. Let me go ahead and just double check. All right, once I have them, how do I actually use them? All right. Deploy. Oh, come on, guys. Show me how to use the tools. That's what I want to know. Log into an ACR registry. Deploying a function to AKS using ACR. Code and test Azure functions locally. Func init my project. I think I have this installed. I like the idea of starting some func. Okay, so I did install this the other day. Great. All right. So, what do I need to do here? I need to go ahead. Commands to log into Azure and manage resources, right? Commands for creating and running functions locally. Okay. So. Oh, God. Is this going to make me use .NET Core 3.1 again for all this work? Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, let's find out. Man. Had someone tell me that, like, serverless was going to go ahead and kill off, you know, Akka.net. There'd be no need to ever build applications and that stuff again. Kind of seeing how much the experience of developing it kind of sucks. Makes me feel like that person didn't know what they were talking about. Okay. Func init my function project. Do I have to do that? All right. I feel scared. I'm going to make this happen. We'll go ahead. Actually, let me change to the source folder. Func init Petabridge API. Actually, let's take a look at my directory real fast. And let's change our Git branches around. Okie dokie. Yeah, I'm definitely scared. This thing's going to end up seg-faulting my system and crashing the stream. All right. Git checkout. Let's go ahead and call this, I don't know, func. Call this funky time. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and call this func init petabridge.kpi.collector.func Don't know if I spelled that right, but I'm going with it. Okay. What if I just want to do Docker? Oh no, Docker only. Man, this guy even spelled his own command line parameter wrong. That's not cool. All right. I'm going to bail out. All right. What shell program am I using? I am using a shell program that I highly recommend called Commander. Can't recommend it enough. It makes your shells look very swag. On top of that, I can easily go ahead and switch between like Windows subsystem for Linux, Bash, PowerShell, and in case I'm feeling nostalgic, I can go and switch to MS-DOS. All right. Let's go back to this guy's misspelled blog post real fast. All right. C#. Docker, ignore Docker file. Okay. Got some photos of my cat here for anyone who wants to see. I was going to try to pull them up for my stream earlier. I was actually looking for literally a picture of Ardbeg in a glass. But Ardbeg, my cat, is right here. All right. Here he is. He's kind of a chubby little guy. And he likes to pee on things. But he's my cat. All right. He's got a lot of personality. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my slide master down here. Let me go ahead and grab this folder. All right. He is a cute cat when he's not peeing on things. Wait a minute. Where's my code? What did this thing actually create? Source.net-function app. I don't get any of this. Ah, god damn it. Okay. Ugh. All right. Discard all changes. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and do this the hard way. Taking off the Petabridge jacket. We're refactoring everything to .NET Core 3.1. That's the only way out. Okay. I love you, record types, but Microsoft hates you. They don't want you to succeed. They never were a fan. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. Gosh. Okay. Nope. That made no sense. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna go ahead. Target. This is a common.props file. This basically allows, yeah, it is getting serious. Dude, they're making me give up record types. It's half the reason why I wanted to do this damn project. Yeah, .NET Core App 3.1, you're correct. I feel humiliated by Microsoft here. It's like, this is what you get for trusting me, you stupid fool. All right. Punctaculous, I'm sorry. Your watch has ended. We no longer need you. All right. KPI.models. All right, I think that looks okay. I've got to go and adjust my stupid Docker image over here. No one will ever love you like how I did. .NET 5. I'm sorry. All right. See how this goes. Hearing and rationalizing skipping .NET 5 to .NET 6 for F# support is infuriating. I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel betrayed, right, myself right now. As a Microsoft shareholder, I am deeply, deeply disgusted. All right. Let's get Satya out of there. Let's get a shareholder revolt of all the developers who want access to their syntactic sugar. All right. Okay. Well, I'm still not over it, but here goes nothing. I know it's not fair. Okay. Oh yeah, we're making it happen. I am nothing if not pragmatic. Okay. Operation name. Status code equals status code. All right. So they actually aren't going to make F# available on .NET 5 at all. So you've been running on .NET Core 3.1 this whole time. Let's see. Go ahead and do that. Sucks. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That would make me upset. You know what I can do? Aaron, do you feel like being bad? right. We'll go ahead and say with option string. I think I need to import a namespace here using akka.util. Sir. Actually, yeah, this is silly. We're just going to make this all nullable. All right, and we'll go ahead, turn API query result. This will be operation name. Actually, we'll do this. Status code. Message. So this will go ahead and use the original underlying object's value unless that's been overridden by one of these methods here. So this is what we've been reduced to. So I'll go ahead and let's see. We're canceled. You know what? Let's see, we'll go ahead and call this just string.empty. Status code 404. String message string.empty. We'll go ahead and say this is empty with. And we'll go ahead and use our name parameters syntax. All right. This is making me feel a little bit like maybe this won't take so long. Empty. Status code 201. Message write success. Empty with status code 500 message. And we'll go ahead and check that around. All right. That's looking okay. Where are other problems? Oh boy. Okay. Hey, that's not so bad. With gotta rearrange this a little bit. Message. All right. This is ghetto immutability. Now I only need to do that, I think another, I don't know, like 8 times. Let's see. With let's see. I need to rearrange this. Message. All right. That's looking okay. Just a few more of these to go. Oh, what a disaster. Can't believe I'm having to refactor all this stuff now. This makes me so angry. Oh, gosh. Seriously, I'm kind of like slow on the uptake to try out some of these features, but man, now I remember why that is. I first one to try this stuff gets burned, but the only problem is that .NET 5's been around for forever, and they still want you to use it, but there's no long-term support. Why? Why would they do this? I just want to love you, Azure. Let me put my code in your cloud, please. Take my money. You know what this means I'm going to have to do, right? I'm actually going to have to go ahead and delete that Azure function and recreate it again. I just realized that. Well, let me go ahead and get started on that now. Okay. Resource groups. Let's go to KPI development. All right, liberate.net. You weren't with us long, but it's not about the mileage. It's about the friends you made along the way. Thanks for playing. Wait, I don't want to delete the entire resource group. Are you crazy? No, just those elements. Thank you. All right. Farewell, liberate.net 5. Maybe we'll meet again one day. All right. Now, if we keep going, got a little bit more of this repetitive stuff to go here. We had a beautiful thing going there, record types. I'll never forget. Never forget what's possible with a little sugar in your syntax. One or more containers should not have resource limits. You know what? I say chill out. Stop shaming my container. All right. Let's give this a try. Setting up the debug environment was no picnic. Finally got dev containers to run. Pretty tight once you acclimate. Lose ionide code inspection of VS Code, but I run VS 2019 side by side to trace functions. I haven't really given dev containers a try yet because here's my embarrassing secret. I spend a huge amount of time still writing libraries and barely ever touch applications. Part of the reason why I'm probably being surprised by so much of these, what feel like very idiosyncratic things tonight. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say migrated to .NET Core 3.1 because Microsoft told us to. All right. Okay. So that's all done. Now, let's go ahead, add our function app again. I don't want you to hurt me again. KPI, but not .NET 5. Okay. .NET 3.1. Well, so now it's okay if I do serverless. All right. Nope. I don't want application insights. Thank you very much, Budget Buster. .NET 5 when? Now, let's see, product. Environment. You know, maybe this is a thing I should give away to some of my Twitch followers. So I should go ahead and hand out, like, if you go ahead and one of my followers, I'll name an Azure resource after you. Yeah, maybe that's the thing we can do. Sure, the other people on my team will hate it, but we'll use Pulumi to go ahead and do a clean deployment later. That way they don't have to look at things named after, you know, people on the internet. right, well, I'm glad H3 Tech 2 is still all right. Thank God. All right. Microsoft.web.server farms. I like the sound of that. Okay. Well, lordy. Editing functions and Azure portals not supported for Linux consumption function app. I don't know what that means. But okay, yeah, that would be the ultimate swag. Be immortalized in my Azure build. That's actually not a bad idea, believe it or not. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right. That would encourage my Twitch followers to invent completely ridiculous names. I guess every other service would be named Dog Fart or something. But you know what? Hey, whatever it takes to have a little bit of fun. All right. So, not doing the function app container thing. We've decided that makes us sad. So we're not going there. So back to square one. How do I actually build this damn thing? Okay. Class library. Dude, you do not support .NET 5. Don't you dare lie to me like that. We just went through a lot of shit. No, not digging it. Unfortunately, dog fart is taken. I feel like I'm being gaslit when I read this down here. Oh, must run out of process. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I've had enough. I've had enough of the silliness. Okay. The build process creates a function of JSON file. Is there a way I could just convert my console app to an Azure function? Convert C# console app to Azure function. Oh, hey. Nice. Got some Stack Overflow karma. It's all coming in. All right. You can, of course, use the console app itself. It's on runtime. Here we go. All right. Okay. This is Visual Studio. I'm going to go ahead and do this the, how to put it, the old-fashioned way. I'm not proud of it. But this is what I think will get us away from being made sad by Azure's cloud and to actually singing some code in the quickest possible amount of time. All right. This is what we're going to do. Add new project. Friends don't let friends. Right-click deploy. You don't judge me. No, we're not going to right-click deploy. I've got too much self-respect to do that. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Petabridge.kpi. Collector. Func. Hack. Plus. All right. Timer trigger. Sounds good to me. Oh, wow, I can trigger a function based on an email getting sent. That sounds cool. You can do all sorts of messed up stuff with that. I want an enterprise trigger that basically runs my Azure function whenever someone sends me a fax. That's what I would prefer. I have no idea what that schedule is, but okay. The Scotch is supposed to be your intervention. Use it wisely. Scotch is supposed to be my ammunition. Okay. C# timer function triggered at datetime.now. See, these folks at Microsoft don't even use UTC. That's shameful. That is shameful. Truly. UTC now. Thank you. Can I make this async? Yeah, can I turn this into a task, or is it going to be mad if I do that? I'm guessing it's going to be mad. Azure Functions version. Okay, try not to cry. All right. Yeah. Grab you. All right. Hey, only took us an hour and a half. We're actually getting towards the point of finding some code. I have no idea what's going on with my indentation there. Not going to mess with it. Oh, well, maybe that's what I should do. All right, yeah, take that. Let's see. The boilerplate function, F# function reps everything in a task. Azure function return task. You can make the function async. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, let's do that. Yep, let's change all that. Async task. All right. That's good. Okay. Next. What else do I need to do in my CS project? Well, do we actually do anything with the utilities project? No, we don't. But we should probably do this. Target runtime totally is defined. Visual Studio. All right. Then I'm going to do that here as well. All right. Do I have anything that is internal in here? I don't think so. Nope. That's pretty good to me. Okay. So let's go ahead and figure out how to do this. You know what I think I'll do? I think I'll go ahead. Go into my KPI collector. I can either go and add this stuff as a bunch of references and do it that way, or I could just take a dependency on that project. I think I'll go ahead and take a dependency on my KPI collector. Yeah. Yep. All right, now let's take a look at my function. Is there any way I can get some actual configuration? All right. Configure func app settings. Not quite what I'm interested in. Oh boy. System configuration manager of app settings property. Boy, this is a blast in the past, some of this stuff. Oh jeez. Well. Well, you know what, Haas? Here's how we're going to do this. Where's my program? Let's see. Yes. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and do add existing item. We're going to go ahead and just copy that file over from the other project. Do all files. Because I really need both of those. Add as... Yeah, this is dirty, but whatever. Add as a link. Okay. All right, no regrets. One other thing I should probably do. Yeah, go ahead and do close all tabs. I guess I can go ahead and map all my secrets to my Azure function as environment variables, can't I? So let's go ahead and refresh. All right, let's add a new key vault. Okay, come on, guys. This is all semantics. What the hell? No. All right. In the Upwork bit, should have mentioned they get to name their own resource groups. Oh man. Well, based on the submissions, I don't know. They'll probably call it, you know, like Mass Effect Andromeda sucked or something like that. That's too funny. All right, we'll go ahead and call this KPI Development Vault. Next, access policy. Oh God. I have no idea what to do with this. All right. Azure Vault, Azure Vaults. Key Vault integration. Oh yes, I would like to learn more. Okay, that looks right. This is pretty much. Wait. Our app settings, environment variables. Man, goddamn, Azure. Okay. I'm assuming app settings are environment variables. God. Okay. We'll figure this out. Either way, let me go ahead and create a vault. Something to save for later. The Azure Functions roadmap. Let's see. Today we have support for running production .NET 5 apps on Azure Functions. An isolated process. .NET 6 LTS. Hey, I can do .NET 6 preview in there. That sounds cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get back to the nasty business of dealing with data that's given publicly via public IPS and service endpoints. Sure. Product. API system. We'll go ahead and add a, what's it called? Environment tag. Dev. All right, we'll go ahead and create that. So we'll store all of our little secrets. Okay. That shouldn't take too long. Now, let's go back to here. App.conf. This is just internal dispatcher settings primarily. The host will automatically exit once the process is done. That looks like it should be fine. Okay. All right. That all looks good to me. Let's see. Generated functions, runtime version. Oh, here we go. They mentioned this, the async stuff. Great. Cancellation tokens. Custom log telemetry. What I really want to see, environment variables. Okay, perfect. All right, I think we can make this work. So I might have to do a deploy from Visual Studio. I hope you won't judge me too harshly for that. All right, let's go to our vault. Let's go ahead and add some keys. I am unauthorized to view this content. Okay. Well, apparently I screwed this up. Let's go ahead and go to access control. Let's go ahead and do engineers. Where's my engineering group? DevOps, Petabridge. Should have an SRE group in here. Well, let me go ahead. I guess I'll just add myself here. I'm the owner, but can't access it. Okay. Role assignments. Assign service admin. SDK infrastructure. Overview. Access policies. There we go. Enable access to. Secret permissions, select principal. Doop. Alright, we give myself permission to go ahead, do everything. I have no idea what that is. Let's do that. Let's add another access policy. Templates. Where's key reader? Key management, key permissions. Okay, that's good. Secret permissions, guest. That's good. Select principal. Where's my stupid function? Is this another thing I'm gonna have to do? Identity. System assigned status on. Add. I'll go ahead and create a new identity. We'll go ahead and call this KPI keys. Oh. User managed identities. So I have to create a new managed identity first. All right. Fine. Okay. object ID. Copy that to my clipboard. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Let's give this another try. Add access policy. Key management. I'll figure that part out in a second. Boom. Gotcha. Yeah, sure. Okay. You now have permission to read those keys. You have permission to read those secrets. Great. All right, now we're talking. What? No, save that. Okay, that was good. Keys. Generate. No, don't need that actually. I just need some secrets. Generate. Manual. Let's go ahead and call this. What are the permissions that we were taking in via environment variable? This is the wrong application. Influxdb setup. Influxdb connection string, bucket, organization, token. Okay. Well, the bucket, the org, and the connection string, I should probably be able to stick out there in plain text. That's not a huge deal. But this key, we'll go ahead and call this Influxdb. The value. Go and copy that. Okay. Content type. Yeah, sure. No, thanks. Okay, so that's looking good. And then I can also go ahead and generate. We'll go ahead and call this MailChimp API key. And this is all just plain text. Go ahead and grab this. Okay, got it. Then I'll go ahead and create that. Perfect. All right, we got a couple secrets now. Now, if I go back to my app, I think before I can start configuring stuff, I think I've got to do a deployment. So let's go ahead and publish this bad boy once and for all. All right, H3, I'm sorry. I'm about to do something I said I would never do. But it has to happen. I don't feel good about it. What's going to happen? Okay. Get publish profile. You don't judge. Well, that's very kind of you. Uh-huh. All right. Godspeed, little function. I don't even know what that is. Storage. H3 Tech 2. Godspeed. Save connection string value in Azure app settings. That's I have no idea what that means, but okay. Yeah. Application insights? No, go away. Don't want you. I don't need you. All right. Oh. Yeah, exactly right. This is the dirty part we have to do in order to get the nice, clean, reproducible solution we want a little bit later. Now, this app is going to crash and burn pretty hard. Publishing error. Oh, God. Okay. What now? All right. Okay. All right, that's actually kind of funny. There's could not connect to remote computer. Guys, this is your computer. Like, this is you, Azure, not me. Okay. Add a function. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm game. I'm game to give this a try. Let's go ahead and go to source. Run your Azure function locally. Don't tell me what to do. Yeah, you should get some ice cream for this. Not a bad idea. Sure, why not? System could not find the file specified. Well, that might do it. .NET. Wonder if we have a little bit of baggage here from some of these older projects still. Let's get rid of this one. Do another build. See, that looks like it went through okay. Maybe that was it. Okay. All right. Hey, that looks better. All right. Now we'll try starting our Azure function. This will not go well, but you know what? Fortune favors the bold. Man, that's bad news. Let me try this. I'm going to go ahead and try consolidating these projects together. Don't like it, but probably for the best. Okay. Oh, forgot about that. Well, I'll go ahead and kick that off in the background. This next thing I need to do... this next thing I actually kind of need to do Visual Studio Code anyway. Services. Cut all that from that project. Paste it all into Functaculous. And then let's get rid of that. keep all that there. Oh. Right. Scripted sandbox 64. Just continue, please. All right. Get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead, open this up with Sublime Text. Get rid of both those. Get rid of that. Oops. Always have a backup editor. Okay. Actually, I want all of those. Okay. Found SDK, but did not find .NET DLL. Error building project. Woof. Wonder what I did there. No worries. I think I seriously broke something in here. Either that, or that's Visual Studio blowing up my stuff behind the scenes. Alright, pretty sure it is that. Let's see, so this gets common.props. Let's go delete that folder. Get rid of that. Okay. Let's see if I can get that to compile. All right, well, looks like until Visual Studio finishes this little update, which shouldn't take too much longer, I might not be able to go ahead and try to see if our Azure function will work or not. But you know what? We're just about out of time for tonight. We didn't get nearly as far as I hoped, as is often the case with software development. But I want to thank everyone who attended. I had a lot of fun. We will definitely go ahead and do this again sometime in the not too distant future. In fact, we will actually be doing it next Thursday, in fact. And we'll be doing another stream, probably about open source and software development career stuff on Tuesday. All right. Well, everyone, have a great night. See you next time.